And welcome to the Bulldog Breakdown. Belue, Hutson Mason. Auburn week. We'll get to the Tigers in a minute. Let's look back at the Missouri victory where this Bulldog defense really led the way with their third shutout of the season. And that's the first time that's happened since my senior year at Georgia in 1981. And we had a defense that was hunkering down in 1981.
So what's better, this defense or the 1981 defense?
Well, I love both of them.
Oh, come on. Don't ride the fence.
Well, the 1981 defense then, if we're going to do the loyalty card. Look, with Jimmy Payne, Eddie Meat Cleaver Weaver.
Eddie Meat Cleaver Weaver?
Yeah, he was defensive tackle. He's laying guys out.
Was he related to the Beaver Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver?
Well, we had a lot of good players, and so does this defense.
Yeah, they do. And look, I think, 3 shutouts. You're talking about not even giving up a field goal. I mean, it's so impressive, and this is obviously one of the best defenses in the country, and I think the reason why is they're playing a lot of different guys. And I know the havoc rate has been talked a lot about, and they don't really get a lot of sacks. I think the strength of this team is in the secondary, but they don't give up like any bust. You don't ever see guys just running wide open. And while I don't think they have like an elite pass rusher. They have a lot of guys that just know their job, execute their job, they line up. I mean, tell me the last time you saw this defense bust a coverage. You don't see it happen. So
Tennessee,
yeah, and you know the thing about it is they're playing a minimum 5 DBs on almost every play. Kirby's getting his most athletic guys out. Sometimes they're playing 6. I saw a play on second down against Missouri. They had 7 DBs on the field. So Kirby's all about getting his DBs on the field. If you're going to get your max receivers and 0 rushing touchdowns in the red zone, I mean, all of that is so impressive. And I know we were kind of joking about some of the best defenses in the history of Georgia. This is a defense, and ultimately the SEC championship game against LSU will determine this, that is right along the same of 08 USC, some of the greatest defenses that have ever played the game. So you got to finish the season out, but they are right there right now in talks with some of the best ever played.
Maybe gives you a shot if you run into LSU down the road.
Yeah, I do. I think you're going to see the best offense versus the best defense, and pick your poison. What do you like more?
Well, let's highlight the big play in the Missouri game. Georgia's up 10-0, second quarter. They're in a cover 1, so underneath man coverage, you got LeCount working over the top. Gets the interception, the big long return, and Georgia separates at that point in time.
That had to excite Kirby because he's been talking about all season. They just got to find a way to get more turnovers, and that's part of the havoc stuff. But they've been really good defensively. Just for whatever reason, haven't created a lot of turnovers. I saw Kirby jumping up and down on the sideline. And then, it's one thing to intercept it, but then when you flip the field position and you get 70 more yards of field position in your favor, like Richard LeCount did, that's even better. So, he read the safety's eyes. I know it's the backup for Missouri, but you can't triple pat the ball and triple hitch and throw it late. Richard LeCount's going to read your eyes and move, and that's what he did.
Yeah, he's really balling out right now. And Kirby's talked about how he's made an investment into the video study, which has really put him over the top. That's quite a safety tandem with he and Reed working together. Let's talk about the offense against Missouri. So Swift, they cut his workload in half. There were people laughing at me last week talking about a load management decision on Swift. That's exactly what happened. 12 carries for Swift, but they're able to get it done. Cager was awesome, Fromm's go-to guy. A little scary, though, to see him go down, ding up that shoulder again.
Yeah, the separated shoulder, kind of the banged-up shoulder. Kirby said yesterday that he was cleared to practice. So there is no doubt that this offense is a different offense in a good way when he's on the field. And, Jake continues to have trust in him throwing the deep balls, and you saw a couple in tight man coverage. I mean, if Lawrence Cager isn't healthy, and to me, Buck, it's not even about just being on the field. Like, if it's your shoulder, when you can't reach outside your body frame or you're limited. Yeah. I mean, those are some of the things that, catching the ball, you got to extend here. Catching the ball, you got to extend here. If that shoulder's banged up, how does that affect him and be able to run routes and catch balls that are outside of just his framework? So, and then some of the guys on the offensive line. Good thing is it looks like, Trey Hill, all those guys that got banged up are expected to practice and should practice because you are going against an Auburn team that's coming off a bye week and is healthy.
Well, George Pickens is coming on strong. He continues to develop and polish up his college football pass receiving skills. Had his best day against Missouri. Love the extension on the first touchdown. Big hands, obviously, reaches the pigskin out, crosses the goal line for the touchdown. Had a big one late in the game. called back because he didn't line up correctly as the tight end stepped back and went in motion. So he's still a work in progress, but Pickens is looking great.
Yeah, that first touchdown catch, I mean, Jake kind of threw the ball behind him. He's running full speed and has to kind of stop, throw on the brakes, and catch it. And then after what he did was impressive. So, you know, I really think you're going to need him down the stretch when you're talking about Auburn, Texas A&M, SEC championship, because when they try to take away Lawrence Cager, who's going to be the next go-to receiver?
Yeah, you need Pickens to be there. We'll come back, talk about the big game coming up this weekend, Georgia at Auburn, here on the Bulldog Breakdown. Be a part of radio history here in Atlanta by securing the 680 The Fan 25th Anniversary Retro T-shirt, like Hutson Mason and I are wearing right now.
Great thing is all proceeds will go to a great cause. Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, all the great folks over there will benefit from it. You can get your shirt and hat, trucker hat. That's always great for the summertime. 680thefan.com/retrobuck. People may get that confused with Metro because we're going to look so good in it.
Don't fool around. Do it now and be looking good. Well, Hudson, it's Auburn week. Gosh, as I recall as a Georgia player, that meant it is going to be intense. It's going to be a little faster. This Auburn-Georgia game, a lot of passion in this one.
It is the Deep South's oldest rivalry, and you know, not only because you've been playing for so long, but again this year, like most years, Georgia has an opportunity to clinch the SEC East, and so Auburn coming off a bye week, they get an extra week to get fresh, but also prepare for you. And so really Auburn has all the advantages coming into playing at home, a game like that. So you really got to be on your P's and Q's, refocus, and get ready to go. And you really want to clinch this thing right now and not have to worry about doing it against Texas A&M. So it's going to be an extreme challenge. Bo Nix hasn't been playing as great as he was to start the season, but this defensive line is the best that Georgia will have seen. So this offensive line for Georgia going to be their biggest test so far.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room. That's Georgia's offensive line. Highly rated, highly thought of, taking on maybe one of the better defensive lines in college football in the Auburn Tigers. Big Ben Cleveland, the offensive lineman of the week, 7 pancakes against Missouri, and he's matched up against the All-American defensive tackle, Derek Brown, who looks like a top 10 pick in the upcoming NFL draft. It starts right there. Auburn's not that deep on the D-line, but they're starters. They can match up with anybody. So this Georgia offensive line, they're going to look to hit them with a sledgehammer over and over again.
Yeah, and if you remember 2 years ago when Georgia came into Jordan Hare and lost, it was a game that Auburn won the line of scrimmage battle. And I'll go back to the South Carolina loss for Georgia. I know they had a couple turnovers that hurt them, but that was a game where the Kinlaw kid really disrupted, and Georgia lost. Kirby even said they lost the line of scrimmage battle. So that is going to be, you mentioned All-American. They've got 3 dudes. Rodney Garner, the D-line coach over there who used to be at Georgia, has done a terrific job.
Yeah, Marlon Davidson, Nick Coe, you got Big Cat Bryant.
Yeah, they have got some dudes. So we know how good this Georgia offensive line is, but if you think South Carolina's Kinlaw was good, we'll take him and multiply it by 3, and that's what Auburn's defensive line has.
Yeah, the concern is Auburn's tough against the run, play a lot of man coverage. Cager gets dinged up a little bit. I think that's a bad formula for Georgia right there. Got to get that run game going. Let's flip it around, look on the other side, where Auburn will be featuring a freshman quarterback now. This will be his 10th start of the season, Bo Nix, but he's facing the SEC's best defense. Auburn needs to be able to do what Gus Malzahn loves to do, and that's run it and find a way to get that ball out on the edge and get some big plays.
Yeah, and I think like most offenses, and this may surprise you with Gus because he is a spread offense, their offense is all about running the football. And then what they do outside of that, you know, some screens, they do some misdirection, play action, but it really starts with them being able to run a football. Last year, their offensive line was atrocious. They got a lot of guys back. Whitlow, the running back, has been banged up. So, you know, it's going to be a challenge. This is the SEC, late in the season, guys coming off a bye week. I mean, you can't dip and dodge good teams throughout your season. You got to face this guy and this team head on, and it's going to be a huge challenge. I mean, I think Vegas only has it at a 3-point spread right now, and I think that's right on. So, Bo Nix, you got to get him to create a couple turnovers. He's played great early on, but then he's played bad. You know, we saw the Florida game. He will have his freshman moments. I think Georgia, who hasn't created a lot of turnovers in the defense and the secondary, got to get some turnovers, give your offense a couple more opportunities to score.
Yeah, I think the winning formula is that Georgia front seven hassles Bo Nix back in the pocket. You don't have to sack him every time, but let him know you're hanging around and then mix the coverages on the back end, which Georgia's been very good at. I like Georgia in the football game. Should be a hard-fought one. looking forward to seeing this one.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot like the Florida game, a one-score game late. Unfortunately, we haven't seen Georgia step on anybody's throat this year. I would like to think that, this offense will get to that second or third gear and score 30-plus points, but I just don't think that's kind of who this offense is. So I'm expecting a, 21-24 ball game.
Yeah, something along those lines. DeAndre Swift he's built his reputation on ripping Auburn, so look for Swift to have a big day. We're back next week on the Bulldog Breakdown.